Is it wrong to go for the rich guy? And that she needs to marry for money. Okay. Women are vilified for wanting to marry a rich guy. And yeah, so does not talking about money make you noble? Like choosing love over money, that makes you noble? Hi everyone! Welcome back to Date Right for Your Type. I'm Dr. Sandy Toe, and today we're going to be talking about, is it wrong to go for the rich guy? Right, so I don't know if you've noticed, but in virtually all of the rom-coms out there, it's always like about a woman who initially maybe a small town girl or something going to the big city to pursue the lifestyle she wants, or a girl meeting a rich guy, maybe a broke girl meeting a rich guy, and then somehow them always going back to the roots, right? So going back to their poor ex-boyfriends who knows them the best, or going back to the small town to relive their old lifestyle because that's what's most suited for them. So yeah, I'm talking about the Materialists with Dakota Johnson and Reese Witherspoon's Sweet Home Alabama. If you've noticed, okay, there was some time in between these, but there's like a very similar message that I noticed, right? So in the Materialists, uh, Dakota Johnson plays Lucy, who had been with a poor boyfriend, played by Chris Evans. His name is John in the movie. So she broke up with John because of money problems. Okay, so fundamental money problems and values, difference of values. Probably material values, and then she was adamant on marrying for money, and she wants to find a rich guy to marry. Okay, so someone who's not like John, who's a letdown. Okay, who's 30 and still lives with roommates and is sort of in shambles. His life is a shambles because he's like a failed actor, and it's like as if he can never get out of debt. Okay, so she then meets a rich guy, right? So a classic unicorn, as she says, because she's a matchmaker. Okay, so she's a matchmaker and she knows what's out there. So a unicorn played by Pedro Pascal. In the movie, he's called Harry. So wow, and she meets this guy who wants to date her, right? So he doesn't want to be match made with someone else. He wants to be match made with her. Okay, so yeah, he loves her to bits. Like he adores her, and he wines and dines her and takes her on these extravagant dates that John could never afford. Remember, they had this full blown breakup in the middle of the street because they were arguing about parking, about having to forfeit a deposit of an expensive restaurant for their anniversary because they're stuck in traffic in the middle of New York and they can't find a place to park, and the guy's worrying about expensive parking and the girl's worrying about the deposit for the restaurant, right? So they're arguing about these money matters. So it's always like money is the thing that has led them to break up. Okay, the key aspect. It's not because they didn't love each other, but sometimes money just gets in the way of true love. Okay, so she has made up her mind that she needs to marry for money. Okay, so but in reality, when she does meet this rich guy, well, she thinks that okay, I have it all, right? So I can have what I've always been wanting, and so she thinks. But then she always like goes back to her ex-boyfriends thinking, well, he's the one who actually knows me best, and this rich guy is like too aloof and I don't know, has no emotions or doesn't understand her. They're coming from different places, different beginnings. She's from humble beginnings. He's from a rich family. That they can never be compatible. Something like that, like incompatible lifestyles and compatible values and everything. And she finds out that she's most compatible with her poor ex-boyfriend, and so she goes back to her poor ex-boyfriend. So the same thing with Sweet Home Alabama, where Reese Witherspoon, like she had wanted to escape the humdrum of the small town, and she went to New York also to pursue her dream to be a fashion designer. And then she made it big. She made a name for herself and met the senator's son and is about to marry well, okay? And so she's like engaged and everything, about to get married, and she has to go back to Alabama to sign divorce papers with her ex-husband. Apparently, they weren't ever signed. Okay, so that's a sign. That's a big sign, right? That they did cherish each other, and no one signed the papers. So given time that she needs to go sign the paper, she goes back to the old town and discovers her love for it, basically. And her love rekindles also with her ex-husband, whom had actually become this glass blowing entrepreneur and made it himself too, actually. Okay. So she also ends up ditching the rich senator's son and goes back to her roots in Alabama to be with her ex-husband. Okay, so the similarity between these two movies is, what's wrong with the rich guy? How come there's like always flaws with the rich guy? He's either too arrogant, too aloof, or too like doesn't care, doesn't want to understand your lifestyle, coming from different places, that sort of thing. And you're always like finding compatibility with the poor guy, basically. How come it's always that the poor guy wins out? Okay, so this reminds me of this contrast between like a satisficer type and a maximizer type, right? So a satisficer is someone who goes for the goal of marriage, who wants to find a marriage partner and get married, regardless of their financial situations. So they're not looking to maximize their gains from it. They just want to find a good relationship, a marriage, but that's it. They're not looking toward fulfilling economic goals. Okay, but maximizers, on the other hand, they are proactively searching for both. Okay, so it's both marriage goals and economic goals. They also want to gain economically from the union. Okay, so why is it that in these rom-coms the maximizers are labeled as materialists? Right? So maximizer equals materialist. And they're always vilified in the movie for losing their roots, for being gold diggers, for looking toward money, and for always, and at the end of the day, it seems as though they could get past their demons and they always do the right thing. And they end up doing the right thing and going back to their roots and being with their poor boyfriends, to choosing love over money, right? So why is it that money and love seemingly cannot coincide in these rom-coms, right? So I think I noticed this difference between rom-coms of late compared to rom-coms of the past, like Pretty Woman, where the protagonist, like the main character, the actress, actually does be with the rich guy, or even Maid in Manhattan, starring Jennifer Lopez, right? So she's a maid, literally like a maid who works in a hotel, and she meets a rich guy, and then she ends up being with the rich guy. So there's no controversy with that, okay? And yeah, for those movies, it's more like a norm. It's a taken for granted fact that women marrying for money and being maximizers are fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I don't know why, like for modern rom-coms, it's more the other way around. Like women are vilified for wanting to marry a rich guy, and they always end up seeing beyond their mishap and going back to their roots and choosing the poor guy. Okay, so why is it like that? Okay, so does not talking about money make you more noble? Does choosing the poor boyfriend, signifying choosing love over money, make you more noble? I think it's not as simple as that. Okay, so it's a matter of owning up to your own choices. So the fact that you choosing to be a satisficer, so in the end, Lucy has gone from a maximizer to a satisficer. So her journey is like this. So the types, I can tell you, they are interchangeable at in the course of life, okay? It depends on the shift in your values and experiences. So for Lucy, she went from a satisficer to a maximizer and to a satisficer again. Because she's tried that and then she just thought, okay, I'm going back to my poor boyfriend and I don't mind about him being a struggling actor. I don't mind that he can never find like make it big in Hollywood and become an A-list actor. And she had a thought about it, and she's going for compatibility over with him over the rich guy. And so she has um, resigned to become a satisficer, which is someone who is just going to pursue like an ideal relationship, but not pursuing economic goals from that. And in the end, so I think it does have to do a lot with today's feminist movement, where women can earn their own money and they don't need the support of men and they don't need to marry for money. So I think that is reflected in like the trend of these rom-coms, where women are vilified for, going down the wrong road initially and going for the rich guy, and then suddenly coming to their senses and going back to their roots and going back to their poor ex-boyfriends, and choosing love over money. Okay, so yeah, I sort of feel sorry for the rich guy because they're always made to have some sort of flaw. And what did they do wrong? Is that they're rich in the movie. Okay, so that's why they're portrayed as villains, because they either have some physical flaw, how Harry had to get wanted to grow taller and wanted to get some sort of surgery on his legs, right, to grow taller. It's either some weird quirk or the senator's son in Reese's at Sweet Home Alabama, where she has a snobbish mother-in-law, right? So it's something wrong or dysfunctional about the rich family that gets these female protagonists running, okay, running for shelter, running back to their roots in the countryside, or going back to their going back to their poor boyfriends. Okay, so um, well, the money, money as as a concept in relationships is still very, very much alive. I know, I mean, money as a phenomenon in marriage and relationships is still very, very much significant. It doesn't mean that money is not significant. In Chinese, we have like the seven elements of a marriage, which is wood, rice, oil, and salt. Yeah. So people only talk about the four things. There's three more. Like it's all of these are like the basic necessities in life. Okay, so when you do get married, the relationship becomes serious. The romance is somewhat gone, right? So what's left are these essential ingredients, which are the realities of life. Okay, so you can call them the drudgeries of life because it's all about cooking, right? So wood is for burning wood to cook, and it's like salt and rice and vinegar and tea and those things. It's all about, the basic necessities of life that you need to sustain a basic livelihood. Okay, so at the end of the day, what you need to make sure is that if you've chosen love over money, is this what you can bear with, like being a satisficer? So at the end, Lucy, she has held tight to her choice to choose the poor boyfriend over the rich guy who can give her anything. So in the end, she was lucky enough to be the breadwinner. So she has actually taken up the role of the breadwinner. And she has gotten a huge raise because of her success as a matchmaker. And she can take care of both her and the poor boyfriend. Okay, so money problem is pretty much solved, you know, luckily for her in this case. She doesn't have to worry about, the roommates or the rent or those things anymore, or money to to celebrate at an expensive restaurant once in a while. Like, she doesn't have to worry about parking and those things. So lucky for her that she doesn't have to worry about money anymore, because she was accomplished enough to take up the breadwinning role, and she can take care of both her and the poor boyfriend's necessities, right? So for those who chose to be in the satisficer role, it's just important to own up to your choice and not feel resentful of your choice at the end of the day. So I think the lesson is to own up to your choices. So at the end of the day, it's about owning up to your choices, whether you're a maximizer / materialist, or a satisficer who has chosen to take up the financial responsibilities. Okay, so without being resentful of your partner. Okay, so thank you so much. I'm looking forward to your comments and suggestions on the Instagram page. Okay, see you again next week on Date Right for Your Type. Have a great day.